This is medicinal formulas. This one means how to formulate the herbs. And Li means based on principle, set the strategy. Based on principle, set the strategy. So based on principle, we need to set the proper strategy, and based on the strategy, we formulate the herbs. That is how we actually prescribe the formulas, and that is totally different from brand name and its indication. Benadryl treat allergies. Aspirin subside fever. Chinese medicine doesn't work that way. Chinese medicine follow this Li Fa Fang Niao. Principle, strategy, and formulate. And actually, this one looks kind of confusing. So Chinese medicine is very free, very wide open to so many possibilities. So how many formulas are there in China? 100,000. How can you memorize this many of formulas? There's no way. Can you remember this 60,000? I cannot remember this. That is the reason Chinese medicine has so many formulas. So formula is actually just flexible. You can modify it as you want based on patient individual condition. So Chinese medicine is free and easy as long as you understand those basics. Very flexible. So let's talk about that. Whenever I went to grandmother's house, usually every vacation I visited my grandmother in a rural area. Whenever I go to my grandmother's house, I spent like 1 month. It was fun, but without exception, I always troubled with stomach ache. Very severe stomach ache. Did I tell you that? Severe stomach ache. Why? Because my grandmother, she granted anything I wanted. She just granted anything I wanted. The toys, I can buy any toys. So I could have as much as ice cream I wanted. So I don't think there's a counterpart in Korea like a Dairy Queen. I really like those things. Dairy Queens and Baskin Robbins. So name it, I could eat all day. So maybe so many ice cream makes my stomach hurt. And whenever I have that pain, my grandmother rubbed my belly. I really like those soft ice cream in Dairy Queen. What is the proper dosage of the soft ice cream? Or what substance in those Dairy Queen made my belly hurt? What do you think? Does it have a special substance? Actually, there's nothing harmful, but eating too much ice cream makes my belly hurt. Why? Not because of its substances or ingredients, because of its energy. Do you get that? Because of its energy. It is a matter of energy, not the ingredients, substances. But when you study formulas, you focus on those ingredients. That is not the proper way. So actually there's no right amount or lethal dosage. What is the lethal dosage of Dairy Queen soft ice cream? Is there anything like that? There's nothing like that. Same thing goes with most of the herbal medicine too. Jingmi. Jingmi is rice. What is the lethal dose of jingmi? There's nothing like that. What about fangmi? Fangmi is a honey. So more than half, I think more than 70% of herbs do not have specific ingredients. They're just food you take regularly in Asian family. Those are herbal medicine. There's no such a specific ingredients harm you, but it can harm you based on energy. There's evidence. I can prove my point. Did you guys learn the formula class, herbology class? Usually when you take the formula with the fuchi, how do you serve it? Cold or hot? Do you remember? Usually you serve the decoction of the fuchi cold. Why? Because fuchi has a too strong warming property, heating property. So when it's served cold, it is less likely to have a side effect. If you pull the trigger very soft, it doesn't hurt. The gun, I'm talking about the pistol. When you pull the trigger very soft and nice, it doesn't hurt. It will not kill you. It doesn't matter if you pull the trigger soft or hard, it doesn't matter. So conventional medicine doesn't matter. Served cold, nicely, or with a bad intention, or served with the warm water, it doesn't make any difference, because what matters is that bullet inside of that medicine. So it doesn't matter how soft you pull the trigger, or how hard you pull the trigger, or you serve it cold or hot or nicely. But Chinese medicine always give you the instruction how it is supposed to be served. Like gujitang, when you serve gujitang, you additionally should apply warm porridge. Why? To help the warming property of guji. Because guji is not that strong warming herb as hot as fuji. Can you get my point? Can you tell the difference between the biomedicine and herbal medicine? Herbal medicine is based on energy, not the substances. So the property is important. That is the reason I get the stomach ache when I visited my grandmother. And there are some herbs with those active ingredients working as substances like qinghao we mentioned, but most of the herbs work as an energy. Sometimes it can make a side effect like my belly, but sometimes it can be effective medicine even though they are just like regular food. And let's suppose you have a cold hands and feet, extremely cold and feet and freezing cold, so you cannot touch anything. So what is your strategy? What is your principle? Yi fa fang niao. Let's go back to this one. Yi fa fang niao. And this is how we formulate the herbs. So when you have a extremely cold hand and feet, so what is your strategy? What is the principle? What is the principle? Warm something cold. Warm it. Warm. Coldness. And this is the actually basic strategy you will think. But is this the only one you need to do? Is this the only one? Actually, there are so many strategies. Likewise, if there's a blockage, there is a cold hands and feet. Because warm energy cannot travel to the end of the feet. And actually, this is more common in the modern society. And if there's a blockage, there's a cold hand and feet. And which can block the energy to the extreme. First of all, food stagnation. When I get really large food, when my stomach hurt, my grandmother usually let the blood in my fingertip. And we all do in Asian family. Why do we make a bleeding there? To make a circulation. And when you get really severe food stagnation, you get very cold hand and feet. Have you experienced that? We do. We have a cold hand and feet. So even food stagnation can make our hands and feet cold. So when you have too much food, your stomach is filled with heat and excessiveness, but your hands is cold. Irony. How about mood? Mental stress. You get a lot of stress because of an interview you have or final test next week. So when you get stressed, so when you got the line of DMB with this unknown claims, you must have a cold hands and feet. That is the blockage of qi because of stress. Qi blockage. So this is all different principles and strategies. What else? How about blood stasis? Blood stasis, blockage. So these are all blockage. So warming, this is a first strategy, simple strategy, but there can be food stagnation, induced cold hand, and qi stagnation, and blood stasis, and what else? and other toxic substances, dampness, phlegm, can block the circulation. And all these are very common. Actually, this is the least possibility. But you know what? All the students and most of my interns choose this one as a first choice for treating cold hands and feet. But there are so many other possibilities. Likewise, for the damp and phlegm, this is the formula we learned. Do you remember this formula? Dangui Xiaoyaosan. This is Japanese formula commonly used for treating cold hands and feet. Dangui Xiaoyaosan. Dangui Xiaoyaosan composed of Dangui Xiaoyao to enhance the blood circulation. Jianshong Baishao Dangui. So this is Siwutang. And Baichu Fuling Jexie. This is Wulingsan. So release the toxin by urination. And it looks like nothing has to do with the cold hands and feet. But actually, this formula is commonly used for cold hands and feet. And this is called Tokishakuyaku-san. We discussed about that. And this formula is best for this kind of ladies. And there are so many Japanese letters. So this is for ladies with the skinny build and a lot of stresses and shoulder pains and some substances not regulated. So menstrual problems and edema. So that is for this formula, Toki Shakuyaku-san. And actually this is looks like very little things with the cold hands feet. But actually that is commonly used one. But most commonly used one must be this one. This is called Dangui Shinitang. Dangui Shinitang. And this is the most commonly used formula for cold hands and feet. In the statistics says in Korea, most of the doctors use this formula most often for cold hands and feet. And this is actually Guijitang. Can you see? Guiji, Xiaoyao, Ganchao, Dachao. This is Guijitang. With Dangui and Mutong. So Mutong, just like Dangui Xiaoyao-san, we just regulate the unwanted substances by urinating, like dampness and phlegms accumulated in your, especially lower belly. And Dangui tonifies blood. So tonifying blood and releasing the substances, the unwanted substances like dampness and phlegm, is the major key in treating cold hands and feet. With guijitang. And you usually will think about using just shinitang. Where did it go? So, Dangui, Xiaoyao-san. Blood stasis, no. Warming, let's put it this way. Dangui, Shinitang. Dangui, Shinitang. So two different strategy. Dangui, Shinitang with Guijitang. This is Guijitang variation. And food stagnation, Bao Hewan. We can use Bao Hewan for. Actually, this is acute. The coldness usually goes away when the food goes away. And what will you use for this condition? We can use Guiji Fu Ling 1. What will you use for this condition? Qi stagnation. A lot of stress, constant stress. You are nervous. So every phone rings. So what formula will you use for this condition? Haeju says, your hands are so cold. Hyunbin says, yes, because my mind is so warm. So his heart is warm, but hands is cold. So which one do you think is the right one? So Dangui Shinitang is for blood deficiency and yang deficiency based on Guijitang. And Dangui Xiaoyao-tang as a water stagnation. So release the dampness and phlegms and circulation. So what do you think is the right answer? Sinisan or sinisan? Sinitang. You know that. This is for chi stagnation. So Sinisan has no herbs for stagnation, warming, but actually this one can warm your hands and feet by releasing those stagnation. Isn't it interesting? I think this is the best part of herbal medicine. When I studied herbal medicine, you can just modify it, or you can think out of box, and you can devise, you can think about whole new approach to treat the same condition. And this is what ancient Chinese medical doctors have been doing. So there's no such a medicine make you hands warm. No such a thing. You can make the patient hands warm in many different ways. I want you to understand that part in my formula class. And that is the best part of herbal medicine.